All right, glad to have you back. The Chief Executive Officer of the Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprises, Dr. Muda Yusuf, says Nigeria could achieve a GDP growth of between 4 to 4.5% in 2026 if economic reforms are sustained. Budget assumptions made realistic, structural bottlenecks limiting productivity are addressed. My guest is Mr. Ogbonna Okuku. He joins me now for this conversation. He's an investment analyst and economic development expert. Thank you so much, Mr. Okuku, and it's really good to have you join the program.
Thank you so much for having me. Happy New Year.
I wish you the same. I would also let you give us an overview of Nigeria's economy, what you make of it, where we are, and what are the projections for 2026?
Okay, so generally speaking, the economy has shown signs of recovery and stabilization. And of course, you can speak to the fact that the central bank, influenced a lot when it comes to, championed a lot when it comes to, some of these reforms that have brought about this growth that we have seen, and then the easing of inflation, and again, the currency stabilization as we see that has occurred in the economy. And again, so if you look at it, so the tightening of the interest rates that the central bank, embarked upon had helped to curb the inflation and then to stabilize the naira. Then the foreign exchange reform that they embarked upon also brought about the liberalization of the market, the foreign exchange market, and that also attracted a lot of foreign direct investments when it comes to portfolio investments. And then it brought about transparency. I always say this all the time, the investors are like water. They flow to areas of least resistance. So when they are sure of what they are working into, it makes it a lot easier. And I also noticed that a lot of, policy coordination between the monetary policy managers and the fiscal policy managers. So that generally also helped, to make, the macroeconomic decisions a lot easier for the central bank. And again, for the fiscal policy managers. So generally speaking, if you ask me, I'll tell you that we have come out of the woods, and then it is now time for growth to begin to occur.
Considering the projections and this pretty figures that we've seen to wrap up the year, what would you be expecting now from all tiers, both the fiscal and the monetary side, as we move on in 2026?
Okay, so I expect some level of easing from the central bank, so that some more monies will be made available for investment. But more so, I would still want a situation where there will be some level of intervention. When I say intervention, I'm speaking to things like direct credit to industries. Now, this will help us, when it comes to productivity. So that level of support has to come somewhere along the line. So if we have to recapitalize, the finance institutions, just like we are pushing for the recapitalization of the commercial banks, because when it comes to the growth of certain sectors, you will need some level of financial product, to be able to help, the MSMEs, the agro sector, and then, to supply, the raw material supply system to work. So, so those are the few things I'm expecting. Then, that we need a little bit more of a more coherent working plan when it comes to the subnationals, because from what we see now, the subnationals are getting a lot more money than they actually anticipated, because with the removal of fuel subsidy and then sharing the monies with the FAC accounts, so that means the subnationals are having so much money at their disposal. So those funds, we need to find a way to to have a direct plan, an economic plan that would make sure that the subnationals are working in line with what the federal government is doing, so that we will all meet at at that destination that will give us a productive economy.
Interesting. So let's talk about investment, and of course what you make of it. The drive for investment, of course, even by President Bola Tinubu, is very obvious, is the number one lead marketer on Nigeria's economy. But let me ask you what you make of the investment drive in 2026. Do you think the environment is set to attract investment?
Okay, so there are two ways we have to look at it. So let's look at the portfolio investment and then we will now go to Greenfield. Now, starting from portfolio investment, of course, you and I know that there was a surge when it comes to over 51%, when it comes to portfolio investors. A lot of investment came into, and this were all, because there were deliberate, regulatory framework, the predictability of the transparent policy of the central bank when it comes to the FX market. And then again, when it comes to, so I'll look at it from, so we'll have more investment because, there's going to be an agglomeration effect. That agglomeration effect is going to happen based on the fact that a lot of people saw companies post profits. A lot of blue chip company and some other companies posted that the posting of profits is actually a boost. It helps to boost a lot of other people who have been on the fence. They want to play. Then again, that the foreign portfolios have been able to see that repatriation of funds have become easier. So it's predictable that if you invest in Nigeria now, it will be easy for you to, get out, to exit from the market and then get your funds. And then, so those kind of transparent and stability, gives an investor confidence to want to do business. And then again, so although this works for both ends, so I know a lot, some political people won't like this particular one, what I call the psychological milestone. So the psychological milestone speaks to the fact that if you see the moves of the president, who he has been able to get, above, above 70% of the political parties to align to his political party. A lot of people might not like it, but the truth is investors are seeing that the possibility of him winning the election next year is very high. So that will make them be a bit more relaxed to do business in Nigeria. Because, you see, when new government comes, right, the process of continuity is always very difficult. So when investors see that the particular government that is carrying out these reforms will still be in power, so it gives them that confidence. So that brings me to the next issue, which is greenfield investment. Now, investors are driven by resources, both natural and human resources. They are driven by market, which is our large population is also good, but it's just that a large population without disposable income doesn't make any sense to them. So they are driven by strategic assets. So when we're looking at the issues, like we have issues that have to do with deficit when it comes to infrastructure. So that also gives them, that's like every investor is thinking, what can I do in a place where we're not yet saturated when it comes to investment. So, and again, but it's just that there's a greater denominator. That greater denominator is efficiency in your system. So with this new tax law, so we can see that no multiple taxation will not occur anymore. So, we have infrastructure deficit. So is it that investors are coming in to support when it comes to infrastructure, to recoup their money with long-term funds, or the government will have to invest a little bit more when it comes to infrastructure that will support industrialization. So, the efficiency in the system, so there's going to be, there's been a lot of work towards streamlining registrations, how, ease of doing business in Nigeria. So I won't say that we are there yet, but we have actually positioned ourselves, like my people will say, the first step you take would either show whether you're a good dancer or not. So it's obvious that we are, dancing towards the right direction. So investors will be willing to do business in Nigeria, but we still have a lot of work to do. And again, I also say this: the faster we begin to work with the subnationals, the easier for us, because most investments are domiciled in the state. So if a state government does not have the wherewithal when it comes to knowledge on attracting investment, it makes it a lot difficult, because a man who has $1 million and a man who has $100 million, they think differently. So there has to be that, understanding the psychology of investor and investment.
Interesting stuff. So finally, 2 minutes, we have to wrap this up. December inflation, many have speculated that there could be a jump, or we could see a rise. Then maybe by January, we could start to see that decline. What do you make of that, and do you think that would affect the decision at the February meeting?
So I mean, I was also trying to watch the market personally to see what will happen, whether prices will go up. But I actually noticed that prices didn't go up as much, if not for the fact that some people just took advantage, which is normal thing that occurs when it comes to festive seasons.
Yeah.
So those price hike were just a bit artificial. So and any which way they would actually show up, as an indicator when it comes to the statistics. But that notwithstanding, I think what there'll be some level of easing, but I don't see it as something that is going to be so much. So maybe like 25 basis points kind of easing, then that will help us, reflect more and then see where we go from there. But generally speaking, I think the December spending won't have so much effect on the inflation.
Well, I think it's a fine place to leave it. I must thank you so much, Mr. Ogbonna Okuku, for your time on the show. As always, investment analyst, economic development expert. Thank you so much for your time. This is well appreciated.
All right. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, then. Well, let's talk markets. And Mr. Tajun Olayinka is my